literally trying to adjust my car seat to try get in a somewhat good position. However, I wanted to do this video in my car. My car is like my safe place. It is where I when I'm feeling down, I like to go for drives, and I feel like this is going to be a very personal video. So I wanted to film it in my car. But hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing amazing. So this is a video, if you follow me on Instagram, I've been talking about doing for a very long time now. The second half of 2022 has been an absolute roller coaster of a year. Both in very bad but also in very good ways. I believe everything happens for a reason, so everything that's happened this year you know, was meant to happen. It really did test me, and it still at times does test me what has gone on, but it's one of those things that time will tell. Time is the best healer, and I kind of just wanted to somewhat talk about some of it, just so you guys are aware why I've been, to be honest, a bit slacking, why my socials haven't grown. I just want to sort of kind of explain that. I really want to share my life with you guys, and I know that I'm very slack at doing that. But I really hope that 2023 is a year that I get into a very good habit. But I do also just want to use this video to explain roughly what's been going on. Obviously, I'm going to keep a lot of things private as well. It's my personal life. But I feel like you guys deserve to know, because you guys have continued to support me through the lack of content over the past 6 months. So we're going to start from like June time. June is when everything sort of started to go downhill. So for those of you who've been following me for a while, you'll know that I was in a long distance relationship with someone called Jack. We met on TikTok. I was with him for a little bit over a year. We'd been talking for like well over a year and a half. And you know what, I have some great memories with that boy. However, looking back on the relationship now, I feel like I did lie to myself a lot. I'm one of these people that when I commit to something, I really want it to work, and I will try my best for something to work. I don't like failing, and I feel like I did this with this relationship, but obviously in terms of relationships, sometimes things can be different, especially depending on the other person. I do not want this part of the video to be slagging anyone off. However, I am going to sort of just kind of talk as to why we broke up and why at the time it really affected me with something else that was going on in my life. So I'm a very independent person, whereas the person I was in a relationship with was nowhere near as independent as me, and I felt like he relied on me a lot, which is absolutely fine. However, being in a long distance relationship, I found that hard on me, to be constantly on the phone to him and talking to him. And as the relationship progressed, I kind of shut off a lot of sort of feelings, not intentionally, but in order to protect myself. I didn't want myself to go back into old habits like I was with the previous relationship, so I was really protecting myself. This person I was in a relationship with had very bad temper. I had a very bad temper, and it's actually something I noticed the first time we ever met officially, and I feel like I should have taken that as a red flag back when we first met. However, like I said, I'm not a quitter. I don't like to quit at things, and I had some great memories with this boy. We had some great times. I don't want to say that it was all bad, because it wasn't. I also want to clarify that the temper was never personally taken out on me. It was just on situations, like there was no violence or anything like that. I don't like confrontation at the best of times, so when it kind of happens in your relationship, you kind of just go around it. So as I sort of unintentionally drifted myself from the relationship, the temper happened a lot, and it was hard because he would work very long hours. He was a lorry driver. We would FaceTime when he was driving, or call like on hands-free when he was driving, and he would get bad road rage. It'd be a temper, you know, he'd be in a bad mood, to the point that I was scared to say anything, scared to talk about my day in case he lost his temper. And near the end, that's the sort of things that happened. I started to sort of grow a backbone with him a bit, and would sort of fight off the temper, which just made it worse. And like anything I did, he would sort of have like a little go at me for. Like, one of the things was I took my car to the garage and I told him that, oh, my car needs a few different things, but I'm just gonna get the brake fluid for now. And he's like, you don't need brake fluid, da, da, and just kind of like let off of me. And it's like, let me make my own decisions. If you want to give me advice, that's fine. However, I'm very aware that my car actually does need brake fluid, so let me get my car brake fluid. It's been like 3-4 years since it's had brake fluid, this car, so I was like, it needs brake fluid. Like, that's just one example. I just couldn't make my own choices without him shouting at me for it. If I was with my friends, he would make sarcastic comments, to the point there was one time my phone had broke and I was without a phone for a few days, and I went to my friends to organize some holiday stuff. He was very aware I was at my friend's because I had messaged him on my laptop before I left, and my friend put up a story of me on her Instagram and he replied like, oh, she's with you then, is she? Even though he knew that's where I was going, but I could not communicate with him as to what time I was going because I had no phone. So it was getting a lot, and the odd times that we've seen each other in this process, we would discuss it a lot and we were like, no, we'll keep trying, we'll get past this. And well, long story short, in the end, it just never worked out. So we're now going to sort of go to the end of June. So this was in the middle of the problems with me and my boyfriend at the time, and I said to him, right, listen, I'm going to really sort of, in my sense, try to make more effort with you to try not be such a closed book, but you really need to work on your temper so we can actually have a proper conversation and not get annoyed at each other. So I said to him I was going to work on this, but he kind of just put it all on me, like, well, you show me you can do it and then I'll do what I need to do. And I didn't really like that, but I was like, you know what, I'll try it and see what happens. I'd just come back from a weekend in the UK with him. So he lives in Oxford, I live in Jersey, and we'd had a very rocky weekend. Like, we were so off with each other, and that was really hard for me because he was a very affectionate guy, and that was the first weekend he just gave me such a cold shoulder. The night after I got back from the UK, so I was still very like down and like was so confused. I didn't know what I was gonna do. So yeah, it was the day after I got back from the UK. It was just me and my mum in the house, and it was very, very late. It was about midnight, and she called me down to talk to me. Something had happened, and at that point in time I knew that my parents were going to be separating. It was how it all came about, which obviously for privacy reasons I'm not going to go into. It was very hard for us as a family to come to terms with. It was something very unexpected, and as my dad was away at the time, it made things a lot harder. The next day I told my boyfriend what was going on, and throughout my whole entire relationship with him, he had come to terms with a lot of issues. I'd spent a lot of money and time trying to help him with certain things going on in his life, and I never really needed him. And this was the one time that I really, really needed him, and he just did not care. He did not care what was going on in my life, and to the point that he actually says you can't use what's going on in your life as an excuse not to try and make this relationship work. And that hurt, like that really hurt. And I think deep down at that point I knew I didn't want to be in a relationship with him anymore if that was how he was going to treat me. I'd helped him so much in the past. I had actually once was so stressed with it all, I randomly broke down in the middle of a meeting at work. Like literally in the middle of a meeting. It was so embarrassing, and I just broke down and had to leave the room. And then one thing happens where I need him, and he honestly could not care at all. So my parents separating was always, growing up as a kid, would be my worst nightmare if that ever happened. And I was so lucky and so fortunate that I had both my parents there throughout my whole entire childhood. So the fact that when you reach 25 and your parents tell you that they're separating, it's very hard to come to terms with. And also where I'm at that point in my life that I'm going away a lot, I'm really trying to progress with my career, you know, probably within the next 5 years I'll be moving out, and the thought of, you know, my mum being in that house by herself, it's really, really hard. I am very lucky that despite what has happened, they still do communicate. They have 2 properties together, and they will continue to jointly own those properties, which, you know, they're very fortunate in that position to be able to do that. However, that doesn't take away the fact how hard it has been, especially the past few days over Christmas. Not being together as a family for the first time was really hard, and I did struggle. I hid it a lot, but I did struggle. You put on a brave face and you go out there and conquer the day, don't you? It's also not like I don't get to see each parent. I see each parent, you know, a lot. I live with my mum, and I see my dad like a good couple of times a week, I'd say. I've seen him over the Christmas period. I've spent it with my dad's side of the family as well, who are also still so welcoming of my mum as well. Like, it's really, really nice to see, but it's also very, very hard. Obviously, when everything first came out as to why they were separating, I did need my boyfriend at the time, and he wasn't there. And I'm so grateful that my best friend, like always throughout all the bad times in my life, she has been there like my absolute rock. About a month later, obviously still getting to grips with what has happened, and also the stress of my relationship, which for a continuous month was just arguments every day with no support. I went back over to the UK. We went on a bit of a road trip on the Sunday. We drove from Oxford to Birmingham. He very kindly drove me to an aesthetic clinic for me to get my lips done. And on the way back, we had a very mixture of emotions discussion about everything. There was crying, there was shouting, there was every sort of emotion. And despite it all, we still agreed that no, we will continue to make this work. We then had a short layover back in Oxford before he had to drive me back to Heathrow, and he fell asleep. Not only did I think this was rude with what the conversation we just had, I kind of used this as my opportunity to find out some information. I had continuously been questioning over the past couple of months, asking if he was speaking to a specific girl. It doesn't, you know, I'm a female, I can pick up on things. Him engaging on her posts on social media, I just all thought it was very, very odd, especially as he is one throughout the relationship that was very like, you don't engage with the opposite sex on social media. So when I started to pick this up, I asked him outright, are you speaking to this girl? To which he continuously said no, it was just on a friend level because they worked together. So I was like, okay, fine. I also want to add that throughout our relationship, I never did anything wrong. I never spoke to anyone, yet he continuously did check my phone on a numerous amount of times, which is absolutely fine. But I always feel like ask before you check someone's phone. And the amount of times that I would catch him on my phone, it wasn't a very nice, it's like, because it was like, why don't you trust me? I had never once gone on his phone without his permission, not once. However, when he was asleep, I knew deep down this relationship wasn't going to work, and I wanted answers. And I went on his phone and I found the answers that I needed. Wherever he admits it was friendly or not, he was talking to someone behind my back, and tried to hide the conversation as well, but I know how you can find hidden things. And I managed to find it. I was on his phone for maybe 2 minutes before he woke up and caught me. And in that time, I'd found a conversation with one of his good mates, making me out to be an absolute mug. And then also that he was talking to this girl. It was on Snapchat, so he deleted the chat, but when I took a picture to see who his best friends was, obviously she was right up there. And, well, you just put 2 and 2 together, don't you? Obviously, because I'd caught him out red-handed, he then did admit that he'd been speaking to this girl, but obviously he had been speaking to this girl, but not on the way that I thought. However, I'd seen enough for me to have my own opinions on it. The whole situation was wrong. He doesn't believe that he made me out to be a mug to his friend, but I'm 25 years old. I'm not an idiot. Well, I was 24 at the time, but even still, I'm not an idiot. I've been messed around with before, and I'm very aware of what things mean. So even after this, and this is the first time I think I ever lost my shit at him properly, I did make him cry quite a lot, but I didn't care. Like, you don't lie to someone, especially when what was been going on in my personal life added completely to it. And I was just absolutely devastated with him. I never expected that from him. We then had to drive back to Heathrow, to which I continuously had to shout at him to drive properly because he was so angry and just driving very, very unsafely, that I was actually scared at certain points. So when I got to that airport, I was so relieved. Our goodbye wasn't like normal. It was very cold and I left. And I think I knew deep down that I was never going to see this boy again. A couple of weeks passed. I continuously tried to make it work. I don't know why, but eventually I was just like, no, I can't do this anymore. And I messaged him and I was like, this really isn't working. To which he replied to as basically he agrees. So although I initiated it, it was quite mutual. I think deep down both of us knew that we didn't want this anymore, and it was just such a shame that I had to find out by working it out myself that he didn't want to be in a relationship with me anymore. And looking back on the relationship, I feel like I had a lot of red flags throughout the relationship which I ignored, but you do when you're in love, you ignore these things. It's only now, the way I've progressed the past few months since breaking up, I've realised that that relationship just was not it. It really wasn't. Like, I want to also put out, I was never perfect either, but I did try so hard to make it work. I was constantly helping him out in money situations, so I did go over there a lot more than he came to Jersey. Like, I just put in so much more effort near the end. He couldn't even save up to take me out for a meal. I was paying for our date nights. However, he was just unfortunately very bad with his money, and I'm quite good with my money, so I ended up paying for the majority of our date nights and trips. I'm not saying all of them. He did pay for our 1 year, which was quite an expensive one. You know, he did pay for things, but in terms of majority, it was definitely me. I even bought him like a whole new wardrobe. Like, I spent so much money on that boy, and for him to just treat me how he did at the end was really, really sad. Like, I understand some relationships don't work and, you know, you need to part, but with everything going on in my personal life, he was very harsh about it, and it was an extremely difficult time, and still can be difficult, trying to support my mum, support my family with what's happened. It's hard, and it's just me and my mum. I don't have siblings, and I have to try balance so many things equally, and that's why for the past month, throughout December, because it's been such a busy month, I've barely been posting on social media because I now have to prioritize my time between two different families, myself, my friends, and also a new person in my life and his family. You know, it's a lot. I'm extremely grateful, but it is a lot. Which I suppose now leads me on to the next part of the video, which is the new person in my life. So I just want to make it very clear that coming out of my relationship with my ex, I did not want to meet anyone. I just wanted me. I just wanted to focus on me. That's all I wanted. But if 2022 has taught me anything, it really is to expect the unexpected in so many different ways. And about a month after me and my ex broke up, I went to a festival, and that was honestly one of the best weekends of my life. I was on such a high vibe the whole weekend, just because I was so happy. I'd let go of my ex, like, and I was just free, and I was living life, and with like really good friends of mine, like some of my favorite artists. Like, I was just so happy on a high vibe. And obviously when you're on a high vibe, this attracts out, and clearly this attracted out very much so, and apparently also my looks, to a guy who walked up to me at this festival. It was quite early on the first day, and I was just honestly having the time of my life, and he walked up to me. And I was just on such a high vibe, so I started dancing back with him. Like, did not think anything of it. Like, I was just being friendly. I thought, oh, you know what, he's really nice, like, whatever. The first thing this guy said to me was, I'm really sorry, my mate dared me to come talk to you. So at this point, I thought this guy had come up to me because his friend fancied me or something or whatever. Turns out that actually no, he was the one who fancied me and had been talking to his friend like, oh my god, she's so fit, and his friends then dared him to come talk to me. Although he did say, wherever this is true or not, he still would have come to speak to me anyways. So that's something we'll probably never find out the answer to. At this point, I'm just having a friendly chat with this person. And one of my good mates is standing next to me, and obviously she knows what I've just been through. She did not want me talking to any guy and had her arm very fiercely around my waist, trying to sort of pull me away in a way, but I was also just like drunk, having a good time, like didn't care. So one thing I will say about this guy, from the first moment we met, he made me laugh. Like from point go, he made me laugh constantly. And comparing it to my previous relationship, there was never any laughter, there was never really any conversation. It was a really like cold relationship looking back on it. So for a guy to make me laugh like continuously, I was like, okay, I like you, like you give off very good vibes. So at this point we started exchanging names. I said my name's Kayla, and then he goes, oh, my name's Jack. At this moment in time, me and my good friend who was trying to get me away looked at each other like abort mission. Because my ex was called Jack and then this guy is called Jack, and it's the first guy like in person I've properly spoken to since the breakup. And yeah, but it was funny at the time. It was funny at the time. Anyways, we kind of had a conversation and we drifted apart. Later on that day, at a completely different side of the festival, we actually ended up bumping into each other again. And this is the point where we got each other's details and we were continuously still having a laugh. He put his number in my phone, got each other's Instagrams, and that was that. Really, nothing happened. We just left the festival. End of that story. Not really, because the next day he then messages me. The first thing he says to me, he makes me laugh, and we spoke for a continuous week before I actually initiated let's meet up, which we did, and we met up a couple of times that weekend. We took the dogs out, went for a drive, and really just got to know each other. And I don't know, I feel like we both just knew like this is gonna go somewhere, wherever it's long term or short term. Like there's definitely a spark, which is weird because anyone who knows me will know that this guy is not my usual type. However, I've never had a guy make me laugh so much, and make, for the first time as well, a guy who like looks after me and I don't look after them, which is a really nice feeling. So I feel like I'm gonna sort of sum up this now and tell you guys really what has been happening since the start of September. Me and Jack continuously got to know each other. He took me out on dates, is an absolute gentleman, would take my jacket, open the door, take my seat out, like everything. And anyone who knows me knows I'm a sucker for gentlemen, and we just clicked. It was so effortless and easy. And at the time, he was also very fresh out of a relationship. He was actually in the process of moving out. So because we were both fresh out of a relationship, we really wanted to take our time, and we did drag out it a lot. Like we just spent 2 solid months just getting to know each other, but it did just get to the point, it was like we are practically now in a relationship. That when we went on a date night, he took me to this very lovely restaurant, and he didn't even ask me to be his girlfriend. He was just like, we are now official. Like there's no questions. Like we have been literally acting like boyfriend and girlfriend for a good month at this point. Like we've been getting to know each other for 2 months. Like it was just so natural and easy. Neither of us had to try. We were just ourselves and it worked. And like I said before, I was never looking for another relationship. I was not interested in anybody, and I just wanted to be me. And I feel like that is why I found someone. You find things when you're not looking for them. I've always been a strong believer of that. And before people say it's too soon and all of this, I just want to say I had my rebound. I very much had a rebound after my ex, and because of that I knew that this guy was not a rebound from point A. Like I knew like he's not a rebound. I've had my rebound. I just know that this is gonna, you know, be something good. Not only had I had my rebound, I feel like it's not too soon in the sense that I knew deep down I'd been lying to myself for a very long time in that relationship. And although it hurt when we broke up, because of course I loved him, in my head I wasn't in a relationship anymore. I was still loyal to that person, but I knew that it wasn't gonna be. And I feel like that's how I could get into relationships so quickly. I never wanted to. And I can't speak for Jack, as in new Jack. I can't speak for Jack, but I do feel like it's fair to say that he felt the same with his past relationship, and that is why it has just worked. Neither of us wanted to find anyone. Neither of us. And we did. We found each other, and honestly, as time progressed and we were in a relationship, I knew this is it now. This is the person I was meant to find. We were both at that festival. He approached me. Like, it all just fit very easily into place, and I'm extremely happy and just very relieved to have found someone who supports me and looks after me and feels like, and whereas I don't need to look after him. Like, of course I look after him, but like compared to like my previous relationships, I've always been the alpha male. I've always been the one who knows what she's talking about and been the one to control the relationship and try guide us in the right path. Whereas now it's such like a team effort. Like, literally such a team effort, and we do things together, we make decisions together. And I know it's so early because at this point I'm making this video, we've not even been official for 2 months, although it has almost been like 4 months since we met. But we've made so many future plans, and we've put like a rough time scale in place because we both want to progress with our lives now. And I feel like one of the big reasons why it also works is I'm very mature for my age, very mature, and obviously we all know that men take a little bit longer to progress in the maturity, which I've learned very, very well. Jack is 31, almost. He'll kill me for saying this, he's actually 30 as I'm talking to him. He's going to be 31 in a few days, and I'm 25, and I just feel like that's a very good age gap in terms of the way that we both work in maturity levels. I feel like we're a very good match. And yeah, so the second part of this video has probably been like an absolute mishmash mosh. But yes, I am in a new relationship, a completely unexpected new relationship, and I was very scared of what not only my family thought, but obviously my friends and everybody, followers, etc. Which is why to this point I have kept him quite quiet on social media, but all you guys know because he comments on all my pictures and you're all like, oh my god, is this a new guy? And then I was talking about going on dates on TikTok, and you guys have just figured it out. Everyone's figured it out, I'm pretty sure, but this is now me clarifying it. Yes, I'm in a relationship with a new Jack and I'm very, very happy, and it's just crazy how this second half of this year is planned out. And if December 22 me spoke to January 22 me and told me everything that was going to happen this year, I would be like, you're joking. Because you can't write it. You honestly can't write it. I'm still struggling with the thought of my parents' separation. I do still struggle with it, and like obviously over Christmas it's been extremely hard, and he's just been that person I've needed, that support. Just like my best friend was as well. Like, I've just been very lucky that, to be honest, all my good friends have been so supportive of me, and I'm so grateful for the people I have in my life. And I just feel like now I've gotten rid of the bad energy that I could get rid of, and I can now just start fresh going into 2023. So I know this video is so overdue, and I know I probably have not covered half of what I wanted to cover, but I'm very conscious this video is getting very, very long at this point, so I am gonna wrap up the video here. You'll probably see from this point, from uploading this video, that I now share a lot of Jack. I just wanted to keep it quiet for a while until all my family like that mattered and my friends that mattered had kind of like gotten to know him a bit more, and my family and friends have been so welcoming of him. Obviously they were a bit cautious at the start, and I'm sure his family and friends were as well, but we've all mingled very, very well. My mum has met his mum. Like, it's just been so lovely, and we all get on really, really well, and it was just meant to be. Like, it really was meant to be, and my friends and my family are very happy for me. So now that I feel like I've sort of grown my relationship with my new boyfriend and his family, and he's grown his relationship with my family and friends, vice versa. I feel like now is an acceptable time for me to be sharing him on social media. I do also want to clarify that it's not going to be like me and my ex where he's going to be making TikToks about me, I'm making TikToks about him. Obviously I will continue with my social media content. He will be in some of them, but he is a much more private person than me. However, he's very supportive with what I do, and he says that he will be in vlogs because I do have a plan to vlog in the new year, and he encourages me to do that, which is so nice. He will be in the background of vlogs, in the background of TikToks and stuff, so you will see him. Of course, he'll be on my Instagram photos. However, his social media is private. Like, he's not going to be posting anything publicly for you guys, so let's just make that clear, very, very clear now. However, I'm now going to wrap up this video. I'm sure I will do another video at some point, kind of explaining a bit more about me and Jack if you want me to. So I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulder telling you guys about this, as obviously for personal reasons I've kept a lot of it quiet for a very, very long time, but I'm ready now to let it all out, which I have done, and start fresh from 2023. I just want to say thank you to all of those who have supported me throughout this rocky year. 2023 will be better in many different aspects. I appreciate you all, and I will catch you very soon with a new video. Bye.